we go. Here we go. And welcome, everyone. We're starting off today's podcast with an advertising moment. There you go, Richard. Keep that up there. Look, we're all authors. Did you know that? Look, there, Lene's holding up Mr. B's book, The Art of Giving Back. Richard is holding up his new one, I Remember Everything. I can't wait to get my hands on that one. Mr. B is holding up one of mine, The Buchanan Bastard, my latest one. And I'm holding up a novella, the first in the Spook series, Ifrit, a spook tale. If you enjoy Goosebumps, you would enjoy this series. So find our websites and order our books because independent authors need all the help they can get. And in fact, that's what we're talking about today. Independent authors and all the challenges that we go through. Yeah, absolutely. And I'm joined by my esteemed colleagues here, Richard D., who's also an independent author like me, who's got 19 books. Is that right? Or more? You've got how much?
28.
28?
Yeah, I know.
28. Holy moly. That's amazing.
That's including anthologies, but yeah, 28. 28 titles.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So great. I don't know. Will I ever catch up? I'm only at 10, but I mean, thanks to God, I've got
I never
10.
thought I'd get to 28. So, you know, yeah, keep going.
I'm going to keep going. I'm working on a brand new one right now. So that'll be number 11 when that comes along. Fingers crossed. And Mr. B, Lene was holding up his book. He's a nonfiction writer, but I hope that one day he'll pop out another nonfiction title because you're a very insightful man and you've got a lot to say. So you probably have another book in there somewhere. What do you think?
I just get scared. That's all. Nervous about all that.
Well, see, this is part of what we're talking about today is independent writers and some of the obstacles in our way. And Lene here is also a writer, by the way, you guys. She's a ghost writer and she does developmental editing and she's an artist as well. So she's kind of a cool chick. She's got lots happening.
Thanks, Dedra.
And in fact, she edited The Buchanan Bastard, my latest novel. So she did a great job.
So ICED works.
We've got a lot of things, to go through because we have challenges like other authors maybe don't face. I mean, although I have to say I don't really know for sure about that. Only what I've heard. Traditionally published authors do tend to have a lot more marketing to do on their own now more than they used to, from what I understand. I mean, it's not quite like what everybody thinks, a J.K. Rowling situation where your book gets picked up and you get marketed throughout, the world on world networks and you get royalties just pouring in and fame and all this kind of stuff. I mean, it's very rare that would actually happen. So a lot of people do take the independent, author route now, and it has become incredibly valid. Although I do believe that maybe we have a little dilution, problem with authors that maybe didn't put the best product forward. What do you guys think? And what was the problem with that? I mean, why was their product substandard?
Well, I'll be the person to say it, that being an independent author, because you have to pay for everything yourself, a lot of people don't have the financing of the big traditional publishers behind them. So they cut some corners, they get a cheap editor, a cheap illustrator, someone cheap to do the typesetting and formatting. And they don't spend as many months as they should with a professional to develop their book to its fullest potential. So they run the risk of having obvious bloopers, typos, underdeveloped plots, characters that appear weak, missing golden opportunities that the readers who are sophisticated will say, this character could have done so much more, but the writer was under pressure to earn an income. So they want to publish it fast and ride the wave. And it's it's one of the pitfalls, I think, that time will tell, but unfortunately, there's no going back if you've published 5, 6, 7, 8 books and they're a bit substandard, that people are not going to end up buying your books anymore unless you have a really devoted following. But it's always good to know that you can always step up your game and invest your money in yourself and deliver a good product, and create a true author legacy.
Yeah,
I couldn't agree more. What do you think, Richard? You've got a
Yeah,
lot of experience with this.
I agree with everything. Right from the start, I knew I'd have to put every cent or penny or whatever I had up front. So I invested in a good editor. And I think that's the most important thing to do. The other stuff, the covers and that, well, yes, you get the best you can afford, but you don't save money on an editor. It's your product, and you only get one chance to make a first impression. So if you're going to spend any money at all, that's where you spend it. You can get away with spending a bit less on marketing, or maybe a bit less on a cover designer, but the words are the most important thing in the story. That's my view anyway. Yeah.
Oh, I agree with you. The editing is the absolute heart of the story. I mean, and nothing drops you out of that sense of suspended reality, that you're enjoying in a book more than grammar errors or some kind of logic flaw, in the story. I mean, that will drop you right out of that beautiful state of imagination.
You
look like you wanted to say something.
Typo, I think. You can get away with the odd typo. I believe industry standard is 1 per 10,000 words. Lene probably know more about that than me, but that's what I've heard. So you can get away with the odd typo here and there. What you can't get away with is a plot hole where someone's hair color goes from red to brown, or someone suddenly has glasses on, or whatever. You just can't, you can't get out of that. There's no way you can get back from that one. So you have to make sure that whoever's editing or reading your work is keeping their eye out for that sort of thing.
Oh, absolutely. And here's the thing too, you guys. I mean, well, first of all, I probably should hear from Mr. B. You had an editor go over your book, I'm sure, because it looks to be in good shape.
Yeah. When I wrote my book, I was very interested in something wonderful, with all the bells and whistles that I could get for the money. And so when I said I was uncomfortable with going into number 2, the first question is, do I have the kind of money that I want to do it? Because I had a different motive. My motive was not for selling books and gaining income from it. My motive was leaving a history of what I did, so my future generations can have. So if I go into a second book, I would be approaching probably something similar, or something that's passionate towards me, like podcasting, and write a book about that and what's going on in that environment. But if you don't have, if you set certain expectations for like an independent writer for generating income from writing a book or from writing, it may really disappoint, because it's consumed so much, because a lot of your money, before you get back to the 0 point, maybe the expenses were already all out there, and you have to think about how long does it take to get that money back and earn more, right?
Yes,
and so those expectations of what can be what called handicapping, debilitating, whatever it takes to make you wonder, do you want to go forward? And so that's my thought on it. It's like, what's the reality of what happens? And do you have a passion for this and you keep doing it, and are you benefiting from it, or are you really trying to make it a source of income at all times?
Right. Well, now that we've said that, I mean, that people have different goals. I mean, I'm kind of really glad you said that, because it leads very nicely into what we were going to talk about next. There's so many people out there, I mean, including us, who dream of extreme success, and selling our books and maybe getting them made into movies and that sort of thing. I mean, that would be the ultimate goal, right? And we're not alone. I mean, everywhere you turn, there are people who dream, of having all of this, but sadly, I think there's a lot of predators out there as well. And even more so, I've noticed nowadays, I mean, there's website after website of people claiming to be experts, and they're offering this deal or that deal, come with me, I'll make your book writing dream come true, I'll coach you through it, I'll do this, I'll do that, or, and they carefully leave the price out until, they kind of hook you in with the idea that they guarantee, that your book is gonna, reach a certain success. But can they really, I mean, how can we trust? I mean, who can we trust? Let me just put that out there for the panel and see what you guys have to say.
There seem to be so many people who are making money by writing books, telling you how to write books. Yeah, that's,
yes, exactly.
And all you've got to do, some of them are genuine, but obviously you've got to look, and you can see generally if some author, you can go onto Amazon or wherever you buy your books and see what they've written and see what people have said about it. And if people say, yeah, their stuff's really good, then there's a chance they know what they're talking about. But there are a lot of people who are quite willing to just take all your money and tell you something you could have found out for free.
Exactly. And it's so predatory, isn't it? I mean, preying on their dreams, of doing all of this. And then there's vanity publishers as well, who you can pay them all of the money to, to do all these functions, that we do. I mean, we have so many steps, to publish a book. We, go through the editing, the drafts, the cover design, the purchasing the ISBN number, making a marketing plan, making marketing material and scheduling it. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff, to get done when you publish a book. And then a vanity publisher comes along and says, oh, well, for X number of dollars, I can do all that for you, but maybe in the fine print, you're giving away your copyright. How do you protect yourself from that? What do you think? Come on, Lene. I know you're dying to say
beware. Author beware. If you want to be lazy and pay someone to do all of this, you can't be lazy in choosing the right person to trust. You have to do your homework. No one's going to come running to you, say, oh, we're so sorry you got suckered. Here's all your cash back. It doesn't happen. If you've lost it, you've lost it. So get on the internet, get on TikTok, get on Instagram, get on review sites, various Discord channels. Listen to what the people are saying, ask for recommendations, cross-reference, search terms, and search engines are really useful. If you put a business name in and the word scam afterwards, you'll get all of the blogs and reviews that expose things that went wrong. Yes, there are malicious people who write bad reviews on purpose, but the genuine ones will still be available. And you have to build your tribe. You can't do this alone. The day of being a hermit writer, sitting in a tumble down lighthouse on a rocky cliff, typing out your novel and running to town to get it published is the stuff of old Hollywood movies. It doesn't work that way. We're sophisticated people now. We have the internet. So you can ask anyone on this planet for advice, and you'll probably find a writer somewhere who's been scammed and who's willing to talk about it.
Absolutely.
And I'm thinking that things are moving so fast also that between technology, between what we spoke about last couple of weeks of AI and so on, things are moving fast. So people are, again, I'm going to bring up the one point about expectations. Their expectations are not always being met. And if everyone thinks that's an easy thing to do, you have to figure out what was your goal and what's your purpose in the first place. A few people have inquired with me about coming on this program just so they could be recognized more, and it doesn't mean it's going to work. It's good. Any author can come on the program as they talk to Dedra about their interests. But could you imagine, looking for outlets? I've seen some on LinkedIn looking for outlets, and the whole idea is just everything is not flowing the way people will think, and it's okay, nothing's wrong with that, again, but they have to manage expectations and to set or reset the rationale behind the joy that comes with doing this, because I really enjoyed mine, and if I do it again, it's going to be just for that greedy purpose of joy. And I want a greedy amount of joy doing it, not necessarily fighting with someone for $5 or $12 for a book. I was like, oh no, I would not have that, because it would spoil my joy.
Right. Oh, I hear what you're saying. I mean, in fact, this profession altogether is a very solitary sort of profession. And, you know, I don't think any of us do it truly 100% for the money. I mean, Richard, are you in agreement that even if I was not selling you know, more than 5 books a year, I would still write. I would still write books because it brings me joy.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. The writing is the thing that I do because I enjoy it. The marketing is the thing I do because I have to, basically.
Right.
Yeah. If I didn't do any marketing, no one would know I was here. I'd just be drowning in a sea of everyone else's books. So I have to, you know, shout about my name and my books every now and again. But I don't enjoy it as much as I enjoy writing.
Exactly.
If I had the choice,
100% agree with you there.
if I could find someone that would do everything for me without scamming, then I'd be quite happy to let them do it for me.
And it motivated me to put the book up again, because what a joy, you know, to have a Buchanan's bastard. How do you say Buchanan's bastard?
The Buchanan bastard.
Yeah. The whole idea then is to say, I do not want to be in my own world every day. I want to pick this up and go into someone else's world, see what you're doing, right? And so if that brings joy, then I'm so glad that people are out there doing it. And so the message from me is to please everyone who is a writer, don't be caught up into the whims of it, but just keep doing it, because you're looking for that one person who really enjoys it.
Exactly. And just getting, even if, you know, those few reviews that come in and they tell me that they really enjoyed the book and it was fun and fast paced and it really kept them, you know, guessing, you know, what was going to happen next. It made me really happy, you know, because I remember being at that moment, you know, in the story, writing it, and how my heart was pumping, you know, and I was enjoying the story so much and the characters and everything, that it just makes you smile, because you feel like it's like when people open a present that you got them for their birthday, you know, they open it up and they're like, oh wow, I love it. It makes you happy, doesn't it? You know, writers get that same happiness when we see someone review our book positively, because we feel like, oh, look, you liked it. I'm so happy you liked it. Yay. You know, I worked so hard on this for you.
Yeah, it makes it all worthwhile. Just one review every now and again makes everything worthwhile.
Yes, I agree with you there. And let me put that request out there, like really, really out there for you guys. Please review especially when you're reading a book from an independent author. Review. You know, it takes 2 minutes. You know, don't say you don't have time either, because you can go click on 5 out of 5 stars, hopefully, if that's what you liked, or 4 out of 5 stars. We'll take that. And, you know, maybe a 2-sentence description of why you liked it. How long does that take? Hit send. Boom, you're done. You know, and you made it's better than a gift for me. Honestly, it's like me unwrapping a present on Christmas morning, you know. Like, I'm so excited when that happens.
For all the people who are on Book Talk, most of us have TikTok accounts as well. So if you tag us on that and add a review, we'll make sure that we get to see it. Or if you tag me, I can show Dedra. If you show Dedra, she can tag me. And Richard and Mr. B even, we all have TikTok accounts. So Book Talk is a phenomenon that is quite surprising now, where ordinary people have a platform to share their book reviews. And I'm amazed at the enthusiasm that some of these people have for sitting in their humble little home saying, I just read this book this month, and this is what I thought about it. This was never possible before. You were either anonymous or you were just a keyboard warrior on a Facebook forum somewhere. But now you can do it live. And these authors here, Mr. B and Richard and Dedra, are alive right now and can respond back and have a dialogue and a conversation. So use the chance while it's there. And I just want to put out there something for independent authors, just for the 3 of you to think about. we're approaching an era of nostalgia where the 70s and the 80s are unknown territory for the youngsters of today. So get writing down some memories, flavors, scenes, characters, stories set in those timelines, because we are the generation who can make it feel authentic without too much research.
Good point. Good point.
Very good point. Yes, I
Yeah,
completely
because someone
agree.
was writing an article recently about the good old days, and then they start identifying how good those 1990s was, and I'm like, what?
The 1990s.
I was like,
Really?
are you kidding me? So I felt really old for a minute, you know. And so Lene, your point is so well taken, you know, and to capture that nostalgic times of independence, of freedom, of love of music and love of art. And like I said, my youngest was born in '87, and I would tell everyone I would sacrifice him to the gods of music forever, because I just love music, right? And he is a great musician. And the point is that time is passing, and we are growing, and it's very good point to capture that time too in our independent writing. Nicely said.
Absolutely. Well, that is the purpose of art in general, is it not? I mean, to capture a culture, a time, you know, maybe a viewpoint, you know. In the 70s, I think people were still a little bit innocent. And that's one thing I like about them. You know, they didn't really, they kind of lost that when the concept of the serial killer came along, which was in the 70s too, by the way. So, but I mean, so that's when everybody started locking their doors and not, you know, and turning off their lights and, you know, not being quite as hospitable as before. But before that, you know, we were all kind of cool and, you know, normal about things. And, you know, it was the era of Scooby-Doo and, minivan, not minivans, the Scooby-Doo van and stuff like that. And it was all so cool. And the 80s too. I mean, we had the best rock music that ever lived, you know. I mean, that's something that future generations do need to know, is that our classic rock will never ever go out of style. It's timeless.
Yeah, because I love how your character went on a date with a picnic basket, and it's like, you know, are they still selling them at Walmart stores? You know, but your character went on a date real quickly with a picnic. You
I'm
know,
glad you
like,
liked that. That makes me happy. See that you liked that.
I was
Thank
smiling
you.
because it's like, you know, if the guy was filthy rich, that was the best approach, to make himself look normal.
Exactly. He wanted to be charming and just sort of classically romantic.
Yes,
You know, that was exactly my point. Thank you.
and like
See, that's
independent, right, and independent writers can bring in the things. Let's say you were in the '70s, you can bring in the discussion about whether or not someone has really had a goldfish in their heels, in their platform heels or something, you know. And so it could make us smile, which make us remember a time when we were around. So again, Lene, thank you for mentioning that.
that is
Speaking
a
of
great point.
platforms, I have a friend whose father had a pair of python skin platforms made in London in the 1960s, and he had to pay £1 per centimeter level on the heels for his shoes. And they happened to be of size 41, and I tried them on once, and I really like those boots.
Oh, cool. Did he
But
have a
yeah,
cape to go with it, like Elvis?
No, but
Like
it's the little things of the era that we remember that weren't captured in the magazines and the movies, because that was a kind of idealized popular culture thing, but it's not the real thing that we had. Richard has different sensory memories of his time in the UK, me from South Africa. And it's just for independent authors, and I'm looking at the new group of authors coming through who all appear to be so young that I just want to put them back in their school clothes. They have not experienced that. They will only remember this through what their parents and grandparents told them, or what they saw in popular books and culture and movies and stuff. So yeah, it's interesting how they try and sometimes frame things set in our eras that we lived through. But that's where I think we can communicate more and be advisors and mentors to new writers who don't know what their real character motivations were like in those days. They don't know a time before the internet. They don't know rotary phones. They don't know coming home when the street lights went on, you know, little things like that. So as independent authors, I think the important thing for them to do is to find people from the older generation and sit and talk with them and ask them, what was a typical Friday afternoon like? What was a Sunday morning like? What did a Tuesday look like at school? What did you wear? What did you listen to on the radio? What kind of car did you drive? Because that's the golden stuff that's not easily available on the internet right now, because it wasn't digitized.
No.
So yeah, mentorship between the older authors and young authors, I think is a good bridge to get this kind of thing rolling.
So what kind of questions would, if you're like a new author coming along and you want to write your first book and you hear all these people giving you advice? I mean, there's all these offers, you know, come with me, I'll coach you through your book, you know, and you pay X amount of dollars. I mean, would one of your first questions be, you know, first show me the books that you've published, right? I mean, would that be a feasible question to bring up in the beginning?
You could. When I was 16, some of my work was submitted to a publisher by my English teacher in high school. And they gave me glowing reviews and said, wow, you know, this stuff is amazing, but they don't publish fiction. So, you know, best of luck on your journey. And through someone else, I found an older author who was about 75 at the time. His name was Ray Hudson. And he had written hundreds, if not thousands, of travel articles and a couple of books back in those days. So I went to him in 1990, I think, for classes every Saturday. And I was the youngest person there. There were older housewives, retired people, a couple of middle-aged people, and then the 16-year-old kid. And he was explaining things about writing. And just hearing him motivate why and why not was worth more than anything I could have learned from a course. So I would always go with a human-centric approach than just something dry that someone has printed or created in ChatGPT and is selling a course based on nonsense and gibberish.
Yeah, there you go. So human-centric, something, a one-on-one coaching, that would most definitely be better. Yeah. Anything you'd like to add, Richard?
Yeah, I'd say use social media to advantage. So there are loads of Facebook groups devoted to the art of writing, and lots of critiquing groups as well. I'm in a few, and you can find people who will give you their honest opinions and will give you honest advice, because they're not looking to make money out of you, because they're doing it as a social thing as opposed to a commercial thing. And you can get a lot of benefit from just talking to other writers and finding out what they do, and you hear the things that people have tried to catch them out with as well. So it builds up your knowledge of the scams that are going around, and you all talk to each other and say, I wrote this and it seemed to work for me, or whatever. And there's always plenty of advice out there, but you have to obviously be a bit careful with who you choose. But I think, you know, in a Facebook group of like-minded people, of authors of all sort of stages of development, you're more likely to get good advice than bad, and you're less likely to get someone trying to take all your hard-earned money.
Yeah,
or steal your work.
I like, or steal your work. Actually, I was just going to ask about that. When you say share your work for critique, how much exactly are you talking? Like a chapter here, a few pages? I mean, what's safe?
The people, I've known them for years now, I guess. We exchange full novels once we've written them. I mean, I've shared them with you, Dedra. I've shared them with Lene. I'm quite happy to share stuff with people
who know us, and you know that we have no interest in harming you.
I mean, if you want to go ahead, I've got date stamped versions at home. We can always talk about it later, you know, in public. I don't think anyone's really going to steal my work, to be quite honest. I think those days, the internet is so vast and everything's out there. I can prove when I wrote just about anything, and for anyone else to have a go at it, it's not going to happen. I don't think. I think that's something that has died a death with the internet, really, to a large extent. I mean, you can never guarantee it, but I'm not worried about it at all. I'm quite happy to share my work. People share with me, and I'll read their full novels before they're published and critique them for them. I won't spot the typos, but I'll certainly tell them if I think it works.
even on this podcast description, I put the contact information. Whether you're on Instagram, whether on YouTube, you can even contact Mr. B on freetalkwithmrb.com as an email. And so there's a lot of ways people can contact even us and ask a question, and we can bring up the topic online.
Yes.
So it's not a problem. I think sharing and giving back really bodes well for us, because the whole idea of an author and independent authors, they're giving back their hearts, they're giving back their work. Because like you said, a 2-minute comment, imagine how many minutes went into putting your book together. 2 minutes is nothing, right? And so it's a really big form of giving back culture through independent authors, just like I liked independent films. I love
me
films
too.
those independent films and foreign films and so on. I mean, art is what this is about, and so as you sit back, you sit back with me and you drink your iced tea, you're saying one hand has iced tea and the other hand of something you're reading and getting the relaxation pleasure. I think people nowadays need to relax, needs to enjoy, and need to be honest about what they're doing, and really appreciate art. So definitely feel free to contact Mr. B on Free Talk with Mr. B. Yes.
Right. And then you can find any of us as well. Find the way to, if you have questions for Richard or Lene or myself as well, feel free to ask us, because Richard did bring up the most wonderful point that you need a community, a tribe. Lene, I think you said that as well, that a tribe is needed when you're going to go down this kind of venture. You definitely don't accomplish this by yourself. I can be 100% witness to that as well, that I would be nowhere without all the people in my life who have supported my dream and, read my work and given me their opinions. And, Rodney, who's again absent today, sadly, but he does the formatting for my books, and we do Blue Genie Media together, and it's just it's a team, it's a tribe.
Yes,
yeah.
we can see
so
him.
Come join our tribe.
Yes.
You'll be safer in a tribe, trust me.
Definitely look forward to next week. Hopefully he comes on.
Yes, absolutely. We do hope he comes back next week, because we do miss the dude. So you guys, thank you so much for your time today, and thanks for spending time with us talking about this very valuable topic of independent authors, and some of the things we face. Who do we trust? Who do we not trust? What do you do? I hope you feel a little bit better today about it if you were thinking about becoming an author. But remember, it's an art, just like learning anything else, just like learning how to play the piano. You don't become Beethoven without practicing every day. You need to spend your time working on your craft to become better and better, and writing is absolutely no different. So, don't give up. You can do it.
Thank you.